Hi, my name is Pamela Jackson. I'm the founder and CEO of the YBH Project. YBH stands for Youth Becoming Healthy. Often I get asked how and why I started this program. Well, now I get a chance to tell you. I clearly remember on October 12, 2003, when my pastor, Bishop Powell, preached a sermon talking about getting back to purpose. I had no idea at the time what that sermon was all about, but it came from the book of Ezekiel 37, and it talked about the valley of dry bones. A couple of weeks later, I had a dream. I dreamed that my brother and I were out walking and talking, as we often did, and he was still alive at the time, and that he said, "Come here, I want to show you something." And he took me to something that looked like a cliff, and he said, "You see all those people down there?" He said, "They need some help, and if anybody can do it, sis, you can." I didn't know at the time exactly what that meant. It was a short time ago that I had a dream in the middle of the night, around 3 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up and I told my husband, I said, "Honey, I want to start a youth program to help overweight kids." Bernard told me that it was a good idea, and so I have his support, so I want to go ahead and start this program. And he said, "Go back to sleep. You can't save the world. You got enough going on." Well, I woke back up after God revealed to me from the book of Exodus 3. He talked about Moses, and I call it my burning bush moment, when I realized that the dreams that I had been having for the last couple of months were not just dreams. And so he took me to the book of Moses and said that you should go and help the people that need help in this area. You don't want them suffering like your brother did. And I'm asking the question, God, I too have gained weight. I am not a professional in this area. I'm not a fitness consultant. But he said that don't worry about that. I just want you to go and do it. Fast forward Christmas Day, which it was a very good time for all of our family. We got together. And I was having a conversation with my brother, as I often did. And I noticed the sore on his foot, and I asked him what the sore was for. He said, "Oh, nothing, I just stepped on a nail." Well, I went on and was washing dishes after we had dinner, and I was speaking to him, and he didn't respond. And when I turned to say, "Boy, you hear me talking to you," I looked right in my dad's face. My dad had died December of '95. I broke down, of course, started crying. My mother and my husband asked what was wrong. I said, "Something is wrong with my brother." February the 11th of 2004, my brother passed away. He weighed over 427 pounds. Because of his weight, he had diabetes. With the diabetes came the high blood pressure, kidney problems, all the things that happen to persons who are overweight or obese. It was then that I realized the purpose that God had called me to start this program. 3 days later, I dedicated the first YBH Fitness Center in his memory. My way of coping with the loss of my only brother, who was also my best friend, was to go back, and the people that he wanted me to help were kids. He said, "You don't want them to suffer like I did." I assembled a group of people who knew what they were doing. I assembled fitness trainers. I contacted the YMCA, several pediatricians, nutritionists, and we all came to the table, and I told them what my vision was for this program. And as God would have it, in the book of Exodus 3, at verse 21, it says, "If you go like I told you to go, and do what I've called you to do, you won't go empty-handed." The next day, I received $35,000 in seed money from Merck and Company and Palmyra Medical Centers to actually launch the program. February 14th, Doherty Middle School opened their YBH Fitness Center. I had over 150 kids that started with that program, and it is an after-school program, so it served a twofold purpose: to keep kids off the street and to also educate them on the importance of living a healthy lifestyle, eating the proper things, portion control, and to give them physical activity. Because for some strange reason, when No Child Left Behind came along over 10 years ago, it removed physical education in schools. It removed the funding. Childhood obesity has become a pandemic. Kids as young as 4 and 5 years old have high blood pressure. Kids as young as 10 years old have diabetes. There's little kids, one little boy just like my brother. I look at him and I see a little Bernard. He's in middle school. He weighs almost 400 pounds. He has diabetes, just like my brother. 12-year-old little girl at Radium Springs Middle School. Her pediatrician came to me begging to put her in this program and help her. Because at 12 years old, this child weighed 385 pounds. She had a tracheotomy to help her breathe. She had all kinds of health problems. So no, maybe I'm not the person that needs to go and try to educate people because I struggle myself. But how can you give a testimony if you haven't been through the test? So I laid all my feelings aside, and I've done what God has called me to do. My congressman is helping me to work with Congress. There's bills that are in the House and in the Senate where they now realize that this is a serious problem. There's a study committee in the Georgia legislature. Over 6,700 Georgians have died. And I didn't mention the fact that Georgia has one of the highest rates of not only childhood obesity, but adult obesity in the country. Over $2.1 billion has been spent treating obesity-related illnesses such as diabetes and high blood pressure and all these other problems. So if I can make a difference, then that is my calling that is going to be fulfilled. That's how I'm coping with the loss of my brother. That is what I'm doing to honor his memory. When you have a pediatrician tell you that this 12-year-old little girl that has all these health problems has a prognosis that she will die before age 18 if intervention is not made, then it's time for people to stand up and do something. So I'm willing at all costs to make myself available to anyone who wants to start a program like this in their school. I'll be happy to share with you a step-by-step guide on how I got started. Yes, it took the support of the school superintendent and the Board of Education and the parents and the teachers and the principals at the school. People often ask me, why am I doing this and I don't get paid for it? I said, because I'm doing what I've been called to do. I'm about my Father's business. Fortunately for me, when God said, I won't leave you empty-handed, He didn't. He made other provisions for me and my family. I have a supportive husband and I have supportive children. And so that allows me to go out and do what I love to do. I'm trying to change policies. I'm trying to change laws. I work with other organizations to make PE mandatory in schools. We've got to bring back those days where kids went out and played. They don't do that anymore. We've got to make it fun. What I've done in the schools is I've turned vacant classrooms into fitness centers. I've actually gone out and purchased fitness equipment. I have all kind of educational materials and brochures. And I have a nutritionist that come in and talk to the kids. I have pediatricians that talk to the kids. I survey them and I ask them, what is it that you want to do? What kind of activity do you like? Since we won't call it PE and we won't call it exercise, what do you like to do? Well, of course, kids love hip-hop dance. So I went out and I found the money, asked for donations, and I started a hip-hop dance class. It's going great. The problem is the kids are skipping band practice, and so the band instructor is not happy, but you have kids who don't participate in PE, they don't do any other physical activity, but they crowd the room for hip-hop dance. I often purchase incentives. I've given away bikes, I've given away money, I've given away whatever incentive. My husband calls it bribing them. I say, if that's what I have to do to get them to change their lifestyle. I'm doing this for Bernard. Kids who exercise and eat healthy do better in school. There are statistics and scientific studies that have proven that. So if I can be a part in helping our next generation live longer and live smarter, then my job will be done.